Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer number 4040-6-652. This is a single acting spring hinge is what this is. And this spring hinge, good old-fashioned original Bommer spring hinge that you're going to see everywhere. Well, that's not true. You're not going to see it everywhere, but you'll see it. You know where you'll see it? New York City is where you're going to see this all the time. And the 4040 is this exact hinge. (4040-6) and a 652 finish is indeed this hinge. This hinge will come in this orientation, partially ajar with tension set already. Okay, this is a big hinge with a big spring, so be mindful of your fingers. You don't want to pull that pin out here, let that collapse down, and then try to peel it open. It's a big heavy spring. What is the 4040? It is a single acting spring hinge is what it is. I've seen this installed in older hotels in New York City that are from the, first half of the 20th century, 1930 sort of places. And you'll see these hinges installed because this was the spring hinge back then and has been for a very long time. This is a UL listed hinge that would be appropriate for use on a listed fire door assembly. Its listing is there, which is part of the requirement of being a piece of listed hardware for use on fire-rated openings, that the inspector can visually see evidence of its listing. There is a link below this video to a document called template. So that will allow us to review the dimensional properties of this hinge. And when they say 6 inch, that is indeed a reference to the height of the leaf. The leaf is 6 inch tall. The balance of all of the dimensions are there. Most importantly, the location of all of the screw holes. So be mindful if you're replacing one. Certainly check the height of the leaf, but also check the location of the screw holes. Maybe print that document off and then go to your door with a tape measure and confirm what you're dealing with. You don't want to order one to find out, oh, this doesn't even get close to fitting. So that template will give you all of its dimensional properties about the hinge. It is a full mortise hinge in the sense that these two leaves, based on the swag of the hinge leaf, they're meant to be mortised flush to the edge of the door as shown at the bottom of the template to give you a 1/16 of an inch margin between the door and the frame. This hinge comes in different sizes as well. And the different sizes are going to be based on the leaf height is the size, certainly. But really what you want to end up doing is confirming the accuracy of your door thickness. That's how this is going to be really called out. And let's take a look at the different sizes that this is available in. Okay, the 4040 is what is called a non-template, meaning the location of these holes, this is zigzag pattern as some will call it, is not a template pattern. It doesn't meet or match anything necessarily except a 4040 6 inch. This is going to be available in 6 inch or 7 inch sizes for 1 3/4 inch thick or 2 inch thick doors on a 7 inch. Okay, you can also order it in a ball tip version. Now the ball tip's going to be the same hinge, except that it will give you a decorative ball finial at the top and bottom, and you'll very often see those as well. And that will be a CL4040- the size, 6 or 7, dash the finish. This happens to be a 652, and that means two things. It means, first of all, it's made of steel. It also means that it has a satin chrome finish on it. Okay? And that's what 652 looks like from Bommer. Now they're going to be able to do this hinge. It's steel, it's Bommer. They can do this in any finish really that you want. For instance, a 600 would be a prime coat. 601 would be bright black japanned. 603 would be zinc. You can do a corrosion resistant zinc coating, which will quite frankly, look very much like this. It'll be more reflective, shinier. However, far less expensive. So if you want something silver colored, 603 would be the cheapest version, cheapest way to get that. 632 is 632 is satin brass. 633 is polished brass. 639 is satin bronze. 643, I forget what that color is. A 643 finish. .643 is satin bronze plated and blackened. That's a US 11. That would be a darkened brass. I wouldn't order this hinge in a darkened brass. Darkened bronze. You're not going to tell what it looks like. Meaning, I would I would prefer that it was ordered on a solid bronze base material, but it wouldn't be available at that because it's a listed hinge. However, they can do a US 11 or a 643, a blackened satin bronze. They can do a 647, which is a satin nickel plated blackened, which is really an antique nickel. They can also do 646, which is a satin nickel itself. 651 polished chrome, 652 satin chrome. Okay, lots of different finishes. Be mindful, it's steel, so it won't be a perfect match to those numbers, but it will be based on steel. Okay, now there is below this video a list of items that are specific to this piece of hardware. It's an easily adjustable spring tension. The pivot points do not align with standard full mortise hinges. What that means is you can't mix and match this with any other hinge. If your door takes 2 of these hinges, you got to put 2 of these on. If it takes 3 or 4, they all have to be this hinge because the vertical axis of pivoting and the location it is from the face of the door is specific to this hinge. It's not interchangeable. It's UL listed for fire rated applications. It's grade 1, rated for 1,000,000 cycles. Factory set spring tension, again, when this ships from the factory, and we're going to go over the installation instructions in a moment, it's going to be partially set like this. There's a reason. Non-template hole pattern, non-handed. Install it so the door goes this way, install it so the door goes this way. Doesn't really matter. Made of steel. For 1 3/4 thick doors. Now, if you've got a door that's 125 pounds and up to really 3 foot wide, go with 2 spring hinges. If you have a door that's 155 pounds or wider than 3 foot, go with 3 spring hinges. 2 for 125 pound 3 foot doors, 2 hinges. 3 if you've got wider than 3 foot or 155 pounds or thereabouts. Screws are included. They're going to give you half wood, half machine. That's no good. I mean, it's okay. You're going to get half machine screws, half wood screws. It's very likely that that's not going to work for you and that you need all machine screws, or more likely well, it's a fire-rated door. It's probably not going to be a wood frame, although it could be. If the rating is on only the door and not the frame, that is possible, I suppose. The point being, in the comment field when you order this hinge, indicate the screws that you want. All metal screws, all machine screws, all wood screws, half and half. Regardless of how they've sent this order this time, that doesn't mean you're always going to get it this way. And in fact, I was wrong. This is all machine screws and half wood screws. So feel free to specify what you're expecting. There are minimum hinge requirements that I've kind of alluded to down below that you can read in terms of the quantity of hinges. If you get over 90 inch and over, add an additional spring hinge for every 30 inches in door height. Now, to the installation instructions. The cross-section in the upper left-hand area shows how the hinge is already set in this sort of tension. This hinge can be used for left or right hand doors without changing the appearance. You can turn the hinge upside down if you want. There's certainly no problem with that. Not really sure why you would necessarily need to do that, but you could. The fixed collar can be identified by the tension pin placed in the collar to hold the hinge open while installing hinge to the door and frame. The fixed collar, I'm not really sure what they mean there. You've got the tension pin in the collar to hold in the barrel or the body of the hinge to keep it in the open position. Okay, now and what the installation instructions are saying, they're really not saying. I'm reading through this, and the instructions aren't clear. What you want to do is, the reason they've sent it set like this is so that you can install the hinge in this orientation. You have enough room as it comes right from the factory to get this attached to your frame and then to your door. And you'll leave the door ajar. You can open it, but don't try to close it because that cotter pin is there. Okay? The hinge is designed to be fastened to the door and jamb under preset tension. Do not remove the tension pin. The leaves are held apart less than 90 degrees, which gives room enough to fasten the hinges in position. Okay. The tension is set on this tension pin here. It's already installed. Okay. What you'll do is you'll hang the door just like it is. Pre-drill your holes, attach all your screws. Once the door is completely hung, you can open the door and then pull that pin out to all of your hinges. Then at that point, the door is already under tension, and you can then test the operation, the reliability, the functionality of the door to make sure it works. After installation, open the door to 90 degrees, remove the tension pin, door will close under that preset tension. At that point, you can set additional tension. The rule of thumb that I know is if the door goes to 90 degrees, you can go up to 4 holes of adjustment. If you get past 90, stick to 3 holes of adjustment. What that means is there's this collar here with the holes in it. Down here there isn't a collar with holes in it. That's the tension collar. When the door is hung, the hinges are attached. For every order that you place, you'll get at least 1 tension rod. When you insert the tension rod into the collar, you can turn that clockwise and reveal new additional holes. As you do so, you can relocate that pin to increase or decrease the tension. When the collar is pointed towards the top of the door, you turn it clockwise to increase the tension. If you flip it over upside down, no problem. Just turn it counterclockwise. For every hinge that you order, you'll get 1 tension pin. You'll get this one. This tension pin you can discard. There's no reason to keep that after the fact. Unless you thought you might want to hold the door in a partially open position if you were to remove it. At that point, we've exhausted all of the information on the installation instructions. So the summary is, install it just like it is. It's meant to come this way. That's how you install it. Open the door, pull the pin, check your tension, adjust if necessary. It's that simple. Being a fire-rated door, most likely that these are going on, although they don't have to be a fire-rated door. You could be using it on non-fire-rated doors. The cardinal rule with a fire-rated door is you must be self-closing and self-latching. So your mandate is to make sure that your new installation will permit the door to do both of those, self-close and self-latch. You may need additional spring hinges. You might have to set the tension up much higher to get that all to work. I'd like to modify the tension on the middle and bottom hinge before the top hinge. The top hinge does the overwhelming majority of all the work just holding or carrying the door weight, 70% in fact. So be mindful that your mandate is to make sure the door closes and latches reliably if it is certainly a fire-rated door. If it's not a fire-rated door, you might simply have to replace these hinges because that's what you've got. that's what you already have, and you're just replacing it for whatever reason. Okay. Now, finally, second to last, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Bommer products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. If you know the name Bommer, you know them for probably their double-acting spring hinges, but when it comes to spring hinges, their name is quite synonymous. However, they have a comprehensive offering of commercial, institutional, and residential hinges as well. The residential hinges come into their single-acting spring hinges, but they are a full provider of hinges, and I would recommend this, certainly if you have more than an occasional need for hinges, that you review their product line. The last thing I'd like to mention, you can see right there the Bommer logo. It says Made in USA, a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. Any questions on the 4040 spring hinge in a 6-inch size, in a satin chrome finish, or any other Bommer product? Please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.